morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. And it brings me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Maria Ian. This is her second visit with us, but to know this woman is to know intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom. Dr. Maria Ian breaks down the topic of death, and we are going to engage in this topic in its intricacies. Dr. Maria Ian is a results oriented personal transformation coach, author, and public speaker. She comes from a family of medical doctors and has several decades of research in trauma recovery. In her legal career as a project manager for legal service providers for 15 years, she counseled on human rights, immigration, and national security. As an author, she focuses on medical sciences and legal and psychological thrillers. On her website, www.caveofthesun.com, you will often find her in full writing gear from the age of 2, as she is self-taught. Dr. Ian has a PhD in political sciences and a JD in law, 6 professional certifications in health and fitness, and 6 in TCM, and several in trauma counseling. Her research passion is the extraordinary, the miraculous connection between spirit and energy behind the science. Is that too abstract? No worries. We are all together on that path. Dr. Ian delights in the opportunity to provide a guiding light, and we welcome her today on The Infinite Way. Welcome, Dr. Maria Ian.
Thank you, Enolia. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you, and such a pleasure to have you back to speak with us about the role and the understanding of death. Death has many, many dimensions, and we're here to talk about that in certain ways. So, how would you introduce what death is and how you perceive it?
Okay, well, let's start by a very fascinating fact about medicine, which is we've got, again, East and West, right? And even though the two today at a very high level, they may interact, there may be some commonly minded research, still they are really practiced in a very different and separate ways, right? Okay. So when we look at the stuff we are made of, right, like what we are as human beings, the Western perception of medicine, contemporary medicine focuses on anatomy, right? So we've got a humongous number of bones in our bodies, right? I mean, the number of bones we have is that you learn in like first year medical school, where you have to memorize anatomy, is, I mean, a humongous number. And they are sort of like nails that are hammering us to this world, right? They make us into what we are. They weight us down, right? And then we've got our organs, right? And the organs can become diseased. So if we are unwell, then we should attack those organs with chemical medical cures. And what we do in that process is we take ourselves out, because health does not rest within individual organs. Health is the harmony of our body's energy network, right? So according to contemporary Western medicine, we are packed with nails that hammer us tightly into this world. And beside that, we can be pretty dead, because when our organs get diseased, we got to attack those organs with so-called cures that, usually just make things worse rather than better. Because again, the health does not rest with the health of individual organs, it rests with the harmony of our body's energy network. Now, we said last time when we spoke that according to contemporary quantum physics, we are precisely not our bones and our organs, and we are not even ourselves. Right? We are our self-identification. Because if you were to ask your cell, what is it? What are you? Your cell will not tell you, I'm a liver cell, or I am a brain cell, or I'm a kidney cell. The first thing your cell will tell you, from the way it's made up, from the energy currents that create and maintain us, it will tell you, I am self, right? So from there, now we've got quantum physics, which is also contemporary Western, and we got the more, basic, vulgar, well-known Western conception of medicine that looks at us as a heap of bones and as, organs, right? And flesh and muscles and all that, very visual stuff. But now in comes contemporary quantum physics, which creates a significant bridge with Eastern medicine that has been around for thousands of years, right? According to which they sort of both appear to agree that our body, mind, and spirit are connected to a higher dimension, right? Now, you have within yourself the ability to alter your consciousness and to heal yourself. And you accomplish this by connecting to the dynamic, intelligent force that creates and sustains the universe, which is the same force that helps your cells self-identify and tell you, I am self, before it will tell you I'm a bone cell, a muscle cell, liver cell, or whatnot. So this force or this energy has consciousness that it has imparted to you. And this consciousness manifests itself for you as your electromagnetic frequencies. And these processes that, again, the average person alive in this society today knows nothing about, right, determine everything. So these processes that we, on an average basis, daily basis, we know nothing about them. We have no awareness of, that we can alter our consciousness to heal ourselves. These determine everything about us, our health, our well-being, our work, our relationship with others, and with ourselves. So you literally operate without knowing it on the unconditional love of universal energy. And there's something very important we gotta say here, which is that this energy, when we spoke about this last time, is created at the subatomic level, right? Where there are certain energy patterns that are, created, that change, that guide our existence. But without that, the average person, again, has no clue, because the average person is like bones, muscle, liver cells, brain cells, all this white stuff. Yeah. And there is something very, very interesting here at the subatomic level. There's something fascinating, which is that there is no good or bad, no right or wrong. There is life at its creation. And life at its creation means it can only have a good purpose. And as we said last time, here there is no fear at life at its creation, no fear, only safety, right? And the awareness that you are created in the universe. This is a subatomic level. Now, here comes contemporary psychology, Western psychology, and it tells us something very interesting. Because according to mainstream contemporary psychology, the biggest fear, fear is something very important in our daily experience.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And the biggest fear we have is the fear of death, right? So why is that? Well, it's because they don't understand the contemporary human psychology, operates, Western psychology operates according to the bones, muscles, type of paradigm, and they don't really go into depth of how the human body works, right? So this fear of death, that is, and I think that's a very valuable insight, even though it's a very limited insight, but according to Western contemporary psychology, again, the biggest fear we have is the fear of death. And that is, even though it's very limited, again, it's something that is very highly interesting, right? And it is because they don't understand how, they don't want to go into the detail, because I guess it takes a lot of work, and maybe financially it's not that remunerative, but they don't go into the depth of how the human body works. Now, the human body, right, is one giant cell, right? And we
Right.
grow, we grow by the means of pain and relaxation. This is our basic growth pattern: pain, relaxation, that in physiological terms moves us to develop. We need pain or discomfort, right, to grow. Somebody who says, that I'm comfortable, I'm fine, I'm perfect, I don't need anything, that person is actually a dead person, because it's a person who is not developing, right? So again, when we say pain, we need to make a difference between good pain and bad pain. I mean, all pain is really good in that way, but I'm saying that not to disturb people who may think, well, if I'm sick, then I feel pain, and that cannot be a good thing, right? Well, no, it's not a good thing, because it's telling you you need medical attention, that something is wrong. But it is good, because it is precisely telling you that there is something that you need to work on. So imagine,
Exactly.
right, right. So imagine you would not have.
Something's out of balance, something's not correct, something needs attention. So you're getting pain because you need to pay attention to something that's off center, off balance, incorrect in your body. It's a notification.
It's a notification. Exactly. And so that's the pain that you maybe not like to be associated with, but even discomfort, right, is painful, like being in a social situation where you feel uncomfortable, having to do a new task that you don't like doing, all these things that are having to do public speaking, having to admit psychologically, having to admit to yourself that you made a mistake, all these things that are uncomfortable, that are painful, are very good things, because those are the things that make us grow, right? So if you wouldn't have that, if you would feel, oh, well, I'm just perfect, right, then there would be you would have a big problem. So the reason I'm mentioning this pain and relaxation, because we cannot be in pain constantly. We cannot be constantly in discomfort. We need to
Right.
It goes in waves, right? Is because at the end of our life, right? So let's say again, according to contemporary quantum physics, what is life, right? It's a process of the universe that creates us at the subatomic level. We follow certain patterns, which we can discover if we want to work with our subconscious, but again, that's not, many people maybe are not willing or interested to do that, because it takes a lot of work and introspection. But when we are created in the universe, we are, created as an intelligence within those energy patterns. Then we pass through our mother. Our mother is the gate to this world, right? We pass into this world on certain patterns that we were given, and we stay in this body until we have fulfilled our mission, our purpose, right? Right. And some people who are more enlightened, they want to find out what their purpose is. They work towards that. They want to improve humanity. Others, they just go in the automaton mode. They just do. They just, go through their daily lives because they have to, right? And then that's it. But at the end of our life, our cells, they stop this growing and shut down, right? Now, why do they do that? Important question. Because the mission that we've been sent here to accomplish, to fulfill has been more or less accomplished, right? We have done what we were set out, and I don't like to use the word destined. I'm looking for a better word than destined. What the purpose was, what the way,
Purpose.
yeah, the way of the universe. We walked our way in this world, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So our cells, again, that are in communication with the intelligence of the universe, they know this because they get that message and they stop growing, they shut down, right? Now, people who don't understand, the energetic frequencies, the subatomic patterns that we operate on, such people, they are caught in the body as a prison, right? And the bars are the bones, that hammer us in place in this world. So that's their perspective, right? They don't look at it as a way that we gotta walk to accomplish a purpose. They look at it, they're caught in the body as a prison, and the bars are like the bones that hammer us in place, and that's what it is. And there's a lot of misery and suffering and all of that. So from within this prison, right, what they see when the cells shut down is the end, right? Because it's like all this, it is the end. It's done. There's nothing else to do on this way. It's completed. It's finished. And that I'm not saying this to judge anybody. It can happen. I mean, I've been blessed in a way. I've witnessed several people die in their early 90s, and some of these people were very enlightened. And if you don't focus, if you don't operate from your higher sense of awareness, anybody's going to say, okay, I'm in this prison and it's coming to an end. It is an end. That's it. Finished. Finito. There's nothing else, right? But remember that we are at all times and always beings of energy.
Right.
And that energy will proceed no matter what. It will continue. That energy cannot be stopped. There's no matter what. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to interject here just for a moment too, that from as a shaman, I've actually helped people pass over. I've been there while they are passing over also. And when I say help, it's that when they're about to take that journey, first of all, I always refer to it as the veil is lifted, but that if you are really listening to that individual, and a lot of people say, oh, they're a little bit off or a little bit crazy right at the end. They're not crazy or off, but that they're half in this world and half past what the physical containment of the body affords or allows, so that they are no longer locked in the body, but then going beyond the body to see what that other world is. But they have a foot in this world and a foot in that other world. So that's one thing. So when people are like, oh, they're talking to someone, but they're not there, so they must be a little bit crazier. No. What you're not acknowledging is that they see both sides of the world. There's the one that you're calling it a prison, but the body locks you into, and the one that's beyond the body. And then that in the process of death, as I experienced it from that indigenous view, is that the body has you locked into, or that at that subatomic level, you're locked into the body. And as the body releases its hold, in other words, it stops functioning, it stops breathing, acting, and doing the things it does, it also unlocks. And as it unlocks, then the spirit can pass through the body and go beyond the body fully. That it's interesting because I never looked at it the way that you're describing it, because in a sense it is, the body is a prison that holds us in. It just basically says, I have a hold of you at the subatomic level. I'm not going to let you go until I stop functioning. So we see it a lot in the same way. So I just wanted to kind of interject that.
No, that's great. I mean, I agree entirely. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So when when the body, shuts down because it has accomplished its mission, and you said about people being perceived as being a little crazy or like they're not there, right? And I was just going to go there and say why that is, because the spirit again is always going to move, right? So what I experience, and that's because of the personalities of the people involved, like a couple of them were very passionate in this life, like they lived their life with a lot of passion, right? And then others were very contemplative and calm and like very peaceful kind of personalities. So for the passionate ones, they're going to get frenzied panic, right? Because they see their grave, right? They know it's over, they know it's finished. But their spirit that's pulling them ahead is telling them, you cannot fit into that grave because it's too small. Like your body, like your passions, like have been so huge, and now you're going to go into that tiny little place underground, tiny little coffin, and that's why they panic. I don't fit in there. Like my aunt, who she just passed away a month and a half ago. She was I think 93 or 94. Like 10 days or so before she passed away, she said, I see my grave. I know I gotta go there because my parents are buried there, but I don't fit in there. And like she was like in this panic. I don't fit. How am I gonna go there? It's because right, her spirit was like, like moving ahead at lightning speed, right? And her body was like, well, how the heck is this body gonna fit? It doesn't fit. It's finished. It's over. You see. So then you got a different kind of person, which is contemplative, peaceful, and you got many people in between, right? But this is fascinating. It goes back to the subatomic energy patterns and the frequencies are the emotions, right? But these people are calm and peaceful, and they're like more in tune with their emotions, with their frequencies. So they're better aligned, they're better attuned to the universe. So when these die, and this was my other aunt who was 91, and I knew that she was going to pass, right? Because they were both, one was 94, the other was 91, and I knew they were going to pass. And I told her, hey, I need to come and see you before you die. I need to come and see you, right? And she said, yeah, come and see me, right? And I told her, and I wanted to just be there and support her. Mm-hmm. And I told her, hey, I know I'm gonna be there. I'm 100% certain, like in the fall, because I was deceiving myself that she's gonna still live much longer, right? I'm the fall, October, I know I'm gonna come and see you. And she told me, well, I know what you're saying is true. We will see each other. And now here's the thing, when she said that, right, and this is a very beautiful, peaceful, like the calmest person you've probably ever met, when she said, I know we will see each other, like I can see, we will see each other. It's 200, like, don't be upset that you're not seeing me now, right?
Right.
I was like really like meditating, like to be into her, to be there with her. And I saw this cloth, this like fur, like a very luxurious, like animal fur. And I said, wow, like I thought, well, are you writing your will? Do you have something expensive that you want to give me? Like, why am I seeing this, right? But then I remembered, according to again, Tao cosmology and spirituality, we humans are created by stars, right? We are, that's what gives us birth, right? And we go back to our star, right? And I had this experience when I was again with this aunt in that area where she lives, which is a very rural area. There's no internet. Well, they have a landline phone, they have like a radio, they don't have television, very basic rural area. And when I was there, I had this sensation one night that the constellation of the bear was right above me. And I was looking at different parts of it and had this clarity that was like crazy. Like it was so clear, like clearer than daylight, right? And so this fur that she had, see, I didn't even want to tell you that because it's extremely, extremely personal. But this fur that I saw was a bear fur. It was like this really luxurious silken bear fur. Means I'm going to see you, back in the constellation of the bear where we're from, you see. And it's
Yeah.
yeah. And then she died after 10 days.
So I'm going to share a story
Yeah.
also, because when I worked in Corning Incorporated, my corporate job, I
Mm-hmm.
met this wonderful, wonderful woman. Her name was Mary. She was a consultant and she was just there temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because she and I got to be really, really good friends. And I had a closed door office. So she would come in and she would sit down and we would talk. We'd have lunch together. We'd talk, sit at the office and talk. And it came to bear that my mother had passed away, and it had hurt my heart because when my mother had passed away, I wasn't there. My
Mm-hmm.
mother, I had been going home every weekend to see my mother. And the weekend that she was supposed to be released from the hospital, typically I would have came down Friday, stayed till Sunday. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, don't come down this Friday. She said, come down on Sunday. We'll have Thanksgiving together. And I'm like, and you won't have to cook, you won't have to do anything. I'll do it all. Meanwhile, my sister would be there, if she was able to, but typically I was the one there on the weekends. So it's Saturday and I get a phone call that she had passed away. And
Oh.
it hurt my heart because I wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And the last words that we had spoken were beautiful words. I had closure and everything, but I wanted to be there. So I was expressing this to Mary, and Mary said and expressed to me that, okay, Noe, I'm going to tell you something. I died before. And I'm like, okay. And she said, when I passed away and I left, and she expressed to me what it looked like when she left. She expressed that she saw this light, that she basically went towards the light, and that what she would perceive as an angel engaged her and basically asked her, did she want to stay or did she want to go? And she really wanted to stay. She said, but she had a daughter, and her daughter really needed her. And she said, I have to go back. And she said, this angel or this man that's talking to her said, if you go back, it's going to be very, very painful for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it doesn't matter. I need to go back. I need to take care. I haven't finished everything with my daughter. They said, okay, we'll let you go back. So she came back. And what she shared with me, first of all, she was in a car accident. Second of all, it took her 3.5, 4 years to learn how to walk again in excruciating pain.
Mm-hmm.
But what she shared with me, what she explained to me is that many people think that it is up to them to be present when somebody is passing over. And that if the person who is passing does not want you there, you, doesn't matter what you do, you look away, you come back and you look towards it, they're gone. It's their choice. It's not our choice. We want to be there. We want to be supportive. We want to do all of those things. She said, but some of us, and she explained it like this, some of us, we are strong and we are able to watch you as we go, and we understand you want to be there because it hurts us also to leave you there, leave you in this human existence. But that some of us, it's too painful for us to watch you as we go. And
Mm-hmm.
so we won't watch you as we go, and it's our choice, and we can slip away while you just go get that cup of coffee, turn your head, or whatever the case is. And so she helped me to understand that even if I had been there, if my mother did not want me there, and apparently she didn't want me there, but if she
Yeah.
had wanted me there, it didn't matter how much I held her hand. As soon as I went to the bathroom, as soon as I did anything, she would have slipped away. She said, so you have to understand it's our choice. It's not your choice. It's
Yeah.
our choice on
Yeah.
whether we choose to go or not.
Yeah.
And I found that powerful. It gave me peace.
Yes.
It gave me
Well,
tremendous peace.
yes. Well, it's just it goes to show you how we as humans, how we are locked into, because we were programmed by society. We were raised in this, I mean, not raised, we lived in this Western contemporary medicine of very material physical body explanations of our conditions, and and as we spoke before we started this call, like when this other reality that is the true reality, and quantum physics agrees with this 200%, there isn't even any question, right? It's been proven exhaustively, and before that it was proven by traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years, right? When that other reality breaks in, when she told me, well, I'm going to see you, but it will be back in the star where we are from. That's what she said to me. My mind was like thinking about material things, like why am I seeing? Like, does she want to give me? Like, she's writing her will. She wants to give this to me. Like, because you don't tune. It's we have to train ourselves to tune ourselves into the truth of what we are, so we don't cling to material things when that is really not the question. And exactly. But that's the message. The message is, there is no reason for you to be there, because we are going to see each other on the star where we're from. And that is a 200% certainty, like whatever is here, you're not going to see me here. Right. And she had reasons for that, that's a very true insight. Yeah. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the journey beyond and the dimensions beyond when we're in death. If what quantum physics says and what we see. So I believe that we're from stars. I believe that we had a language and a being and a complete existence in that star.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
People talk about like language of light and speaking in tongues. One thing is, I don't believe that language of light and speaking in tongues are one and the same. I'm just going to make that clarity right there for me. Others may believe that. I don't perceive that. Speaking in tongues, people will say they got the Holy Ghost and they're speaking through the religious
manifestation. No, religion has nothing to do with this.
No. But language of light to me is the fact that we are energy, we have light code, we are sacred geometry, and have a language that we communicate through.
Yes.
All those aspects. And as that language comes through, it's like pure love, it's pure light. It's how we communicated when we were in that other dimension. And some of us remember it as we are here.
Yes, that's very, very accurate. And I was exactly going to say that next. Yes. Because, and that goes back a little to the ancestral healing.
Okay.
I had that experience with my grandmother, who is a very important person for me, because she was born in before World War I, at a time where many of these barriers, like borders, ethnicities, races, jobs, stuff like that, they were not as divided. Things were much more fluid, much more congruent,
Yes.
And when I did my healing, my self-healing, when I fell ill years ago, the way that I saved myself is I went into her being, because once she raised me, and two, she had a very, very healthy diet and a very simple and affordable diet. So I went back into her being that's inside me and just adopted that diet, and that's how I was able to heal myself. So when she passed at the age of 99. She passed a week before she turned 100. She would have turned 100. And she was one of these very passionate people, right? She was not contemplating, not conscious. She was just very passionate. And she used to yell at it'd be like, am I dead? Am I still alive? Like, what the heck am I doing here? And people told, okay, you've lived through 2 world wars. Your daughter died before you. You've raised your children. You've raised your children's children. Like, you've done really anything that you could do. Would you please die? It's getting too much. Like, you're still yelling, and please just go home. We cannot take care of you any longer. It's too much, right? And she was very upset at that. She said, no, I want to go out for a walk. And she was on the 2nd or 3rd floor living in a building. She said, no, I want to go out for a walk. And everybody was just, no, we're not taking you out for another walk, because you're just going to yell at people in the street if you're alive or not, right? And it's too much. And she called me and she said, hey, can you please come here and take me out for a walk? Because these individuals, her daughter at that time and husband and whoever else, they don't want to deal with me any longer. And I, at that time, I was a graduate student. I was completing my PhD and I was working. And I said, and I didn't grasp that. I didn't grasp the importance of that. I said, no, I mean, I can't right now go on a plane and take you for a walk because it really wasn't feasible, right? And I know she wouldn't be upset, but that was her wish. She said, could you please come here and take me for a walk? Down the stairs, because nobody wants to go down the stairs with me. But the actual reason why I said no wasn't because I was so busy and because I could have taken the time off, but it's because I had a disagreement with her where her brothers had served in the Russian military before World War I, still as kids. And because one of them died and then her father died, she never wanted that to be known. So she had pictures of them and that she didn't want to publish anywhere, and she wanted to just never talk about it, and she wanted to spiritualize everything. And I said, no, these is your brothers, this is your father. At least you got to acknowledge that. You got to acknowledge that they died in the military. You got to acknowledge that this is what they looked like. You got to at least put their pictures somewhere up in your apartment, right? She was no, right? So I was sort of angry about that because I said, I can't deal with you yelling now at me again. I'm not gonna help. I'm not gonna, do that because you didn't want to do that for me, right? And then she passed. Then when I had this was then years later when I fell ill, and then the only thing that I could really do to save myself, to heal myself, was to get into her being, right? To feel her in my genes, because that then gave me her diet. And that's the thing that until today, I still have her diet. That's the only way I can really eat, because everything else makes me sick still. I mean, she basically ate onions and grain all her life. And I got garlic and I got herbs, and that's the only thing I still eat, right? So that helped me then function again. And then one evening when I went for a walk, it was dark outside, right? And I have like steps outside of my front door going down, like about, to go out into the street. And suddenly she was next to me. Like really, I could see her, like it was her hair, because she had very white, big hair still, right? And she was next to me and she says, so can you walk down the stairs with me now, please? And I said, okay. And then, I said, well, what about your brothers? Why didn't you want to acknowledge their history and at least put their pictures in your apartment? And this panic, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation when people get attacked in a war, when there is like an advancing army and the civilian population is in the way, like this screaming panic, like, because death is coming, you're going to die, and this, you cannot escape. And she went in this screaming. She said, no, not them. It's the same panic, right? And suddenly she was like ahead of me. She was there like screaming, like, do not do that. I said, no, right? And I told her, well, I actually already put them on Twitter. I already put their pictures up there. So there's nothing you can do any longer. And she was there. What? She was there, what? And then the only thing I could tell her, I said, okay, could you please go home now? Because there's nothing left. There's nothing left. It's all finished. It's all completed. Would you please go home? And then she was just very nice and just dissolved, she just, went back. And I had, this presence of her next to me, like, just, could you please just do this with me? Just go out with me. I've had that several times after that again, but, I think it helped with the screaming, but it's our ancestors are part of us, and she started to scream in a panicked frenzy. It's like, no, not them, not again, ever. I felt that vibration. No, I felt it. And then I said, well, unfortunately, I already published their pictures on Twitter, and there's nothing you can do.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
What an amazing story. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, because each one of us has to complete our journey. And we see, that's why we gotta have willpower. Willpower is very important. Like all this wishy-washy, crappy cultural liberalism where people are just kind of floating, that's like the worst thing you can do to humanity, because we can control our way. We can control, the control is very extreme. We can demand things from the universe. We can impose our willpower. We can want things, and the universe gotta listen. See, and if you want, in her case, it was really, she really wanted me to go down the stairs out for a walk with her. And that would have completed her path in this world. But because she already did everything else that she wanted, which was a lot. But we gotta have that willpower. We gotta work with our genes, with our ancestry, with our story. You see, we cannot be these like, oh, everything is fine, and I'm great, I'm feeling so nice, and
Right.
medication, nice, whatever, and
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking about this too from the contextual way of the ancestors also pushing us to step into our purpose when we're afraid of
yes,
stepping in our purpose. Because
yes,
I remember also coming up through the ranks and, like we were talking earlier, and you said you read my story and you read my book, and anyone who read my book will understand that my moment that you're talking about with the ancestors was when I went to Angelica, New York,
mm-hmm.
and I met this woman who was a channeler when I was
Mm-hmm.
out on a weekend out, and we were just all hanging out and everything. And we thought it'd be cool to see a channeler. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget her name. Her name was Janine.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I didn't know her before the whole setting. And, I asked this woman to take a picture of all of us. There's 12 of us together. And she took a picture, and I was like, thank you. And then I go and I have dinner at this beautiful Victorian inn, and across the room, that same woman I asked to take a picture of us was just staring at me. And I'm talking to my friend Jenny, and I'm like, Jenny, do you see that woman's staring at me? And she's like, yeah, she is staring at you, Enolia. I'm like, what did I do? Why is she staring at me? And 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 then, finally, the entertainment for the evening came after, dessert. And so there's about 20 people in the room. And that same woman who I asked to take the picture was the entertainment. I had no idea. And her name was Janine, and she was the channeler. And she starts speaking, and then the lights start going off and on. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because we visited this Victorian inn every year. Okay. We knew
Mm-hmm.
that the lights were right behind her. We knew that she was standing there. We knew that nobody was there at the lights, but
Mm-hmm.
yet we're watching these lights flicker off and on. And we've spent many hours in that front area where the lights never flickered. So I'm watching this, okay, and just digesting. My mind is taking all these points of understanding, right? It's fact, the lights flickered off and on. The innkeeper's over here, so and so's over there. They'd have to do like this in front of us. So, with the lights, so it's not them. Okay, I'm watching. And she's introducing herself, and she's still staring at me. And I'm like, does she realize there's 20 people in the room and she's staring at me?
Mm-hmm.
And finally she interrupts her own introduction and says, I am so sorry, I'm staring at you. And in my mind, I'm going, hallelujah. She actually acknowledges she's staring at me. She
Yeah.
goes, you have an entourage around you. I'm going to work with you first. So one, I didn't know what work with me first meant. And two, I didn't know what entourage around me. And
Mm-hmm.
what I found was that she shared with me that my ancestors were all around me, and they were making such a fuss, and knew that she was open enough to understand that she could see in this world and that world
Mm-hmm.
very clearly. And they would not let her take, she's expressed to me that they would not let her take her eye off of me. They were hell bent on making sure that she got the
Mm-hmm.
message. And she shared with me that I was to keep my music, and that I was too closed, and I needed to open my heart and open so that I could encounter those type of experiences. That I was
Mm-hmm.
too close, needed to get open. They couldn't communicate with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember reading that. Yes.
Yeah. And when you're saying this, the other piece that I want to say is sometimes we're so worried about being in fear and letting the fear shut down
Yes.
anything that we would perceive on the other side.
Yes. And
And
that's
that
actually
just,
normal. See, that's
yeah,
normal. Yeah, because we are made
Yes.
that
And
way. Yeah.
if we just dropped the fear and opened our hearts and allowed the encounter and stopped being afraid of the encounter, that we would find that we would be getting the messages that we're looking for from those who have passed, that we want so desperately to speak to,
Yeah.
that we would find things aligning in the ways that we need them to align because they want to help us. They
Yes.
want us to succeed. They want us to fulfill our purpose. They want us to do the best that we can do in the lifetime while we're here. Another thing that I learned in that exchange also is that they see what they did wrong on this in this side of the world,
Yes.
we're
You go.
on the other side, and
Yeah.
that the apologies and the things that are so important to them are
Mhm.
are sent back to us to say, I was wrong, I didn't mean to say that to you when I was on the other side, now I'm on this side and I see what I said wrong, please accept my love and apologies because I just didn't realize how important it was until I got on the other side and I saw what I was doing wrong and how I was doing it wrong. And
That
I
is
think messages are
extremely,
so
extraordinarily important. It's entirely true that my grandmother hiding like everything that happened, like not talking about that, was a huge like historical mistake.
right,
Because you
right.
may know today what's happening with the Ukraine, right? Where it's all on camera and it is all around the world. And people provide help and assistance, and people are enraged and they want to help. Now, the exact same thing and much worse happened in 1910, 1917. But if you don't ever talk about that, you can't expect
Oh,
anybody. And there were no cameras, no. I mean, there were some cameras, but there wasn't like phones where you could take a picture and look what's happening to us. Please help. So if you keep all that within, you never talk about it. It's a very big mistake. Because today I get very angry. I say, okay, it's happening to them in the Ukraine and they're getting all this help. When it happened to us, nobody helped. Well, you were not willing to talk about it for 90 plus years. So don't be angry. Absolutely. Yeah. Um,
so
mhm.
people, and I guess I'm saying this to the audience for those who are afraid of their own gifts, because
Mm.
we are energetic beings and that we have gifts, we have capabilities. A lot of us try to hide them, hide behind
Yes,
them, or hide them in their entirety and saying, no. And they want to deny it and that it doesn't exist. And it's there for a purpose. And if you're afraid, then reach out to somebody like yourself, myself, talk
yes,
about these things,
yes,
express these things, and then learn how not to be afraid of your own gifts because they're there for a reason and for a purpose. I want
yes.
to say so expressly.
And it is a science. You are not weird. If you're experiencing, you are not weird. You're not crazy. You're not seeing things that seeing. You are having very genuine, authentic, and physiological, medically accurate experiences that are backed by quantum physics plus several thousands of years of traditional Chinese medicine. Right,
That's right. That's
right,
right.
right.
And
So
indigenous studies because they feel the same way.
yes, exactly. In particular, yes, exactly. So please, if you are in that category, you listen to this. If you've had similar experiences, the meridian system is
Mhm.
the energy system that we work on, right? Like all the muscles, the bones, the organs are very secondary, right? Because even if you have perfectly functioning muscles, perfectly functioning bones, your organs are perfectly healthy. If your meridian system is not in harmony with the energy in the universe, you are not a healthy person. And I'm sure you've heard of super athletes who die at the age of 60 of a
Yep.
heart attack. That's why, right? Um, and many people, you may have had this experience, like you go for a walk maybe, right? And maybe you're angry, right? And all you see, or you're stressed, right? And all you see is like, you see the road in front of you, you see maybe the trees, right? You see maybe cars passing by, people, right? But then suddenly, maybe you see something else. You see like flowers on a lake for no reason. Maybe you see the sky opening up for no reason, right? And you say, wow, well, that's very different from like the asphalt road, from cars, from trees, from other people. But then it's gone. You see, and the reason you saw that is because that's the authentic self. That's what we as humans have to see 24 hours a day. But we don't live in the environment that has that education, right?
Exactly.
Right. That's why
Yes.
we're having these calls, is because we want to provide that education. So when you see it and it's gone, oh, that was just, I was crazy, or I did some meditating correct. No, that's not true. The reason you saw that is because that's you. And because you're not educated and you don't know how to make that permanent, that's why it's gone, right? So
Exactly.
we healers, we educators, we have a huge responsibility and a huge job. And we want to guide people and to get them, to where the universe actually placed them, which is in the higher level functioning, right? Right. And then you're going to see the bones and all of that and the organs. It's going to be very different picture that you're going to have of all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yay.
Oh my goodness, we are coming up on an hour, and it's been
Already.
another
Wow.
phenomenal conversation. I could talk to you, like I said before, always, always. I love the depth that you bring to these conversations, and I absolutely love the knowledge and the wisdom that you bring forward. Thank you so much. And I want to give you the last word and basically share any wisdom that you want to just say to the audience before we actually close the conversation.
Well, again, I'm happy to have another conversation with you, Enolia. But
Well,
yes.
we will. I love it. We will.
Yeah, but what I want to close on is that, the quantum physics, traditional Chinese medicine reality, it exists and it has existed for thousands of years. We today, since World War I, but then also particularly since World War II, we live on a very low level of cognitive functioning because of various forces that happened in those, particularly World War II, right? So what we see today, like the way businesses operate, the way we go through our lives, automaton, like, barriers between people, borders, punitive laws, all those things. Those are remnants from World War I and World War II, right?
Mhm.
Which are not spoken about for various reasons. But that era is coming to an end. It will come to an end in the coming few decades. I'm sure. And we have to educate ourselves in the truth of what we are. Because there have been, and I was having another conversation with somebody else, and there's been much better worlds that humanity has had, much better
Right.
ones. And,
Right.
there's no reason why there shouldn't be another one coming very soon. But for that, we have to step out and acknowledge, the mistakes, the limitations, and the BS that we have believed. And we gotta do our training and acknowledge our ancestral path, which goes back millions of years, and which is present, like you said, in your experience, Enolia, which is present all around us all the time, right?
Right.
So we gotta, take the step and educate ourselves and be the universe. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And yes, we will have a part 3. We're going to continue this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Maria Ian, for your thoughtfulness and your wisdom again. And we so appreciate having you here. And for those of you who want to get in contact, I will have in the description box how to get in contact with Dr. Ian
Mhm.
and how to connect with her on her website. So
Thank
thank you
you.
again,
Thank
and
you. All
thank
right.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.